Robert Fishbone is known as a muralist, but lately he has found a new passion, designing and creating labyrinths.
I had seen some labyrinths around and they really intrigued me. As I was evolving my spiritual path and looking for more ways to be engaged in contemplative practices, a labyrinth started just calling out to me. I had somebody who knows me well say the difference between a mural and a labyrinth. With a mural, one's reaction is often, ooh, and in a labyrinth, it's, ah. So we're kind of reaching at two different ends of the spectrum of like what it is to be a human.
A labyrinth is an ancient symbol of wholeness. It represents a journey or a path to our own center and back out into the world again. While they are found all over the world in different forms, the labyrinth in the cathedral at Chartres, France, is considered the most archetypical one.
It's important to also distinguish a labyrinth from a maze. A maze usually has very tall walls that you can't see above, and it's meant to confuse you. A labyrinth, on the other hand, is at ground level, so you always know exactly where you are. There's only a single path, and once you make the commitment to step across the threshold, it can only lead you to the center of all things. They all serve the same purpose. Letting go of your life up until that moment and walking with as few attachments as possible. And hopefully by the time you reach the center, there will be a little more lightness that we can experience.
While taking a walk in nature may bring a sense of peace, there is a significant difference while walking a labyrinth.
In a labyrinth, you only make one choice, which is to do it, to step across the threshold. And once you make that commitment, you can let go of everything else because the labyrinth itself is going to guide you into the center. Now, if you take a walk in nature or your neighborhood, oh, I'll walk down this path, oh, I'll go this way, oh, I'm going to look at this, I'm going to look at that. You know, there's so many distractions. We may think we're in nature, but really we're like still engaged with everything.
Labyrinths have long been used as meditation and prayer tools, and for centuries, they have been associated with mysticism.
In the Celtic world, say Great Britain, that whole area, who did adopt Christianity, but they melded it with their own belief, which had to do much more with nature. And so you will find the labyrinths, like in that part of the world, really are imbued with all this kind of otherworldly mysticism. Of course, anytime you engage in a spiritual activity, you are talking about what we can't see, what we can't name, what we don't entirely know. In that sense, mysticism is a big part of this. And what is mysticism? It's about something you don't understand.
There are many labyrinths in the St. Louis area, one of the most beautiful being the labyrinth on the grounds of the Mercy Conference and Retreat Center.
A little over 20 years ago, Sister Corlita Bonarenz had an idea that the Mercy Conference and Retreat Center could benefit from having a labyrinth. They got in touch with Robert Fishbone here in St. Louis, who had done hundreds of labyrinths. And working with them, he designed this beautiful labyrinth that's behind me. It's about twice as large as the one it's modeled after, the one in Chartres, France. And the reason for that is to allow the paths to be very wide. It also follows that exact same design in that there's Christian imagery in different elements that are built into it.
We will take a look at several more around St. Louis that Robert Fishbone designed and helped build, all of which are associated with faith communities, beginning with the labyrinth at Central Reform Congregation.
Looking at various designs, I realized that one that's somehow related more to Judaism would obviously make more sense in a Jewish community. The city of Jericho became the design for the labyrinth at Central Reform Congregation. And there is a beautiful rendering of it in an old Babylonian Talmud from the early 1000s. And that's what I used to design our labyrinth. The site for the labyrinth at the Villa du Chêne Oak Hill School is beautiful, secluded like this. It was built by people from the community. We did it in silence. People always remark how profound the experience is, working with others in silence, creating what's going to be a spiritual element on a campus made in a spiritual way. It just keeps deepening. What is all this about? The labyrinth at the Episcopal Church is similar to the one that's behind me, but it's smaller. You know, they definitely are using it for faith purposes, but like the one at CRC and this one, it's open to the public.
While labyrinths like these take on many forms, they are all a place of peace and serenity, healing body, mind, and spirit.
These days, it's hard to find what I would call a wholesome spiritual guide in life. We're barraged so much by the digital world and so many different voices. And the labyrinth is a kind of guide. It's saying, you take your first step, just follow me. I'll get you where you need to go.